Sarah Hennies is a composer based in upstate New York whose work is concerned with a variety of musical, socio-political, and psychological issues, including queer and trans identity, love, intimacy, psychoacoustics, and percussion. We were visited by the world's cutest and most tufty dog. What's the dog's name, Sarah?
Her name is Harriet, but we mostly are calling her Howie now. For it just sort of happened. At first, we were just jokingly pretending that she had a speech impediment, and her name was Howiet, and so we started calling her Howie. But
Aww.
Our old dog that we had pre-Harriet was officially named Henrietta, but we only called her Henry. So she's carrying the torch.
And it sounds like you've been doing a lot of talks, so you've probably heard a lot of description of yourself.
Yeah, I worked really hard to write a bio that I thought was informative and not annoying or self-aggrandizing, but it's been the same for so long and it's still relevant, but I'm like starting to get a little bit worn out of hearing it.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I think the artist talk effect in the Zoom world is real, where like, everybody's desperate for stuff, either for their classes or for concerts to watch. And I think people have now realized that they have access to hypothetically artist talks from anyone, anywhere in the world, because everybody's just at home.
Yeah, you have to bring your most coherent self, I imagine.
Yeah, keeps you sharp.
Yes. All right, so you have played 4 non-event shows, I think.
That sounds right.
The most recent at Waterworks Museum, which I imagine was something of a novel experience.
It was amazing. It was a harrowing experience because I don't know if you remember, but it was during the height of the California wildfires.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And one of our group mates, Tim Feeney, literally could not get to the airport because all of the roads out of his town were closed. And so this was like the day of the concert, and we scrambled. Tim sent one of his ex-students our way, who he was like, he knows how to play all of my shit and like he'll be great. And so this poor guy, he was awesome, but I think in hindsight probably was like quite frightened.
Sure. Pressure.
Playing an hour-long piece of music with like 30 minutes of rehearsal, but it was really sad that Tim wasn't there. But the concert itself was really special for me. I still have the poster up in my room that I mean to frame, but haven't gotten around to it yet. But I mean, that trio Meridian with Greg Stewart and Tim has been playing for a long time, but we hadn't really done anything like that before. And it was a piece that I felt really strongly about. And it just was great. And like people came, and it just, everything you could ask for in a concert, other than your very close friend and bandmate being stranded in California because of a deadly fire.
Had you played it somewhere that cavernous before?
That was the first performance, and the only other performance was in Ithaca, where I lived the next night, where we got Chris Corsano to replace Tim, who lives here in Ithaca.
Nice.
Who I think also was equally deer in headlighted. It also was awesome. I think I was like texting him from Waterworks and being like, can you play a concert tomorrow?
Wow.
And he was like, well, I don't read music. And I was like, it doesn't matter. It's cool. You're going to be great.
Is there any other, like, that strikes me as a fairly unusual context to play in. I was thinking, like, is there, a cruise ship or Angkor Wat or Red Rocks, or is there other places you'd like to hear your pieces performed or perform your pieces?
I don't know. I mean, I'm always up for like the gig that I don't know that I want to play, but there is something, I was applying to do something that would have been a residency in Philadelphia that I didn't get, but there's a place just east of Philadelphia, I think maybe 45 minutes to an hour east, called Ringing Rocks Park, which is exactly what it sounds like. There's all these rocks and you hit them and they make tones.
Wow.
And it just seems like, you know, it also seems like it would be a hard challenge, but I've still never been there either. I really want to go and just see it for myself, but I think it would be really great to write something for that place.
Like the rocks or the area could be kind of an instrument.
Yeah, exactly. To like write for performers to play on the rocks.
That's a fantastic idea. Okay, I have less serious questions as we go along. Okay. Well, how do your dogs feel about when you're playing? Are they?
I don't know. I mostly keep the music out of the house. They don't seem to mind too much the weird music that I play in the house. The only thing that they seem not agreeable to is on this record of mine that came out a few months ago that has a very, very long passage of two extremely high dissonant bowed glockenspiel notes that lasts several, 6 or 7 minutes. And not that I'm listening to my own record very much, but like when I was listening to the test pressing and they were just kind of like, but mostly they're not really fazed by anything. They swing wildly from extremely chill to extremely loud and uppity. And one of them is very overly friendly and not aggressive in a mean way, but like very barky and jumpy. And the other one just thinks that everybody's going to kill her. And so they have very opposite needs when like new people are in the house.
Yeah, that's my cat.
Where's the other one?
We can both show our pets.
Twiggy, Twiggy, come here. Twiggy, come here. Twig.
Is this the one that thinks everyone's going to kill?
Yeah, she's like looking at me, but I think she knows I'm trying to like use her for something.
My cat is a little bit like that up there.
Yeah.
Musical or otherwise, is there any product you would be open to an endorsement deal for? Clothes, shoes,
right
hair
now,
products,
I feel like the only corporate allegiance I have right now is to Sean Famous Foods in New York City.
I don't know. I don't know Sean's Famous Foods.
Oh, it is really great. It is. I mean, my joke is that if only there were other restaurants to eat at in New York City. But it's a little noodle stall, and there's a bunch of them all over New York City. And Sean, X-I''A.
Okay, yeah.
And they are spectacular. And it's not like fancy food. It's just like a fast noodle stall place, but it is unbelievable. Although the owner seems like a little bit of a macho jerk because so a few years ago I posted a photo of my food from Sean Famous Foods, and this guy replied and was like, "Oh, they're great, but I think Very Fresh Noodles," which is another noodle stall, but I think Very Fresh Noodles has like overtaken them. And the owner of Sean Foods saw this and they started fighting with each other on my Instagram account. And it's like totally absurd that it's one of those things where it's like, how did I completely unwittingly win a fight between my weird composer friend and the owner of Sean Famous Foods? But I will say, I just ate at Very Fresh Noodles for the first time a few weeks ago, and it is not as good. It's good, but it's not like,
it's not an endorsement deal. Good, right?
And my old band, the Weird Weeds, for a while were soliciting an Anti-Caps Hot Fries endorsement.
Interesting.
So only food. I don't care about musical gear.
That's like deep cuts in the snack. Well, maybe deep cuts, I'd say. Have any resolutions, if you believe in that racket, for 2021?
My partner and I made 3 resolutions, and I broke 2 of them on the first day. shit, I can't even remember what the third one is now. It was, we were gonna not drink for a month, we were gonna not eat meat for a month, and there was a third one. The fact that I can't remember means that I either have stuck to it so well that it's not even in my consciousness anymore, or I have also broken that. But I think I'm still doing it, whatever it is. And I after the first week, I've stuck with the drinking thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the and I feel bad about this too, because I was a vegetarian for 12 years up until about 6 years ago. And I was like, oh, vegetarian. I used to eat like this for so many years. Like this will be no problem. And no meat for a month very quickly fizzled out into like, well, we just won't buy groceries that have meat in them. And so now, like, every 4 days, it's like, do you want to go to the bagel shop and get those sandwiches that we like? It's actually driving me crazy now that I can't remember what the third one was. I'm texting into the next room.
Maybe you were.
I'll let you know.
Any thoughts about Eddie Van Halen's death?
Well, 1984 was one of the first records that was like something that I like bought with my own money, which was my parents' money. But I was 5 in 1984. I remember getting it, and I still remember sitting at home with the cassette tape and being like, this baby has angel wings and cigarettes, and like, what's that about? And that was as far as I took it. But
You were 5.
yeah,
That's staggering,
yeah, I was an early music fan. Mara says the third one was going to bed early, which I have stuck to very religiously. So anyway, that's a boring one. But also I have this, my old bandmate Aaron Russell, who's a really great guitar player, and he will get really fixated on things for like a few months at a time and then just move on to the next thing that he's fixated on. And for a while he was listening to Van Halen just like constantly. And I came over to his house and he was like, this was several years ago in Austin, and he was like, yeah, I think Eddie Van Halen is really like underrated as an experimental guitar player. And I was like, oh, that actually is totally true. And when he died, I put on Twitter that Eddie Van Halen was the first person I ever saw play guitar with a power trill, which, as it happens, I've seen a lot of times since then.
Yeah. He seemed like nothing but a guitarist.
He just seemed like one of those guys that kind of like Anthony Bourdain, that like was just so consumed by what he was doing and like so sincere, and honestly just seemed like kind of an okay guy. That I mean, you can kind of tell in the tone of like everyone's remembrances that there seemed to be consistency of this certain way that everyone felt about Eddie Van Halen that was like very sort of like, I don't know if heartwarming is the right word, but I appreciate, because like Van Halen's kind of like funny and cock rocky, and it would be very easy to kind of think of Van Halen as kind of a joke, but the sort of outpouring of like respect for him was really nice, I thought. On a mostly related note, a few years ago, I was listening to Panama in the car. I was on the radio, and I was like, what is this song about? Because I realized I didn't know, and I went to the Wikipedia page, and the quote from David Lee Roth, this isn't verbatim, but it essentially was like, yeah, it's about a car. And I'm just like, yes, that is the kind of directness that I'm looking for in music.
Yeah.
I think the line, it was someone speaking about David Lee Roth. It was like, oh, it was a departure from most of their songs about like, debauchery and sex, and instead it was about a car.
Yeah, God, that's kind of awesome.
I was supposed to say I just never thought about it.
I think that's a sign of a good song. You just get on board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And whether or not you understand what they're talking about,
doesn't matter.
You're happy to go along with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any dream lineup for the Sarah Hennies Festival? And or is there anyone you'd most like to cover your music? Tchaikovsky, Cardi B, whoever. So that's a two-parter.
Can they living or dead? Both?
Living or dead?
Living or dead? Oh, that's harder.
Mm.
Sold American, Mahershala Al-Hashbaz, Michael Ronta. I don't know. I just feel like I could just so easily I'm just like thinking of things off the top of my head, but those first two are like, no question.
And they're covering your music, right? Or
I
your
don't know. This is my like all tomorrow's parties.
okay, all tomorrow's
Yeah.
party. Sorry. Okay. Yes. Okay. So that's your dream lineup.
So it'll be like Sold American, Mahershala Al-Hashbaz, some sort of Xenakis thing where he's alive, like like a Bohor or something, and he's there just sort of like messing with faders.
Mm.
And Super Chunk in 1993.
Kind of round things out.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk to Suzanne about that. Maybe she'd be up for putting that together. Okay, as far as somebody covering one of your pieces, do you have a...
That's a harder question. Maybe like, well, actually, I would say Mahershala Al-Hashbaz again. That's a double whammy.
That's a lot of love there.
Yeah. I feel like I should have an answer to this.
Oh, no. It's always hard when someone asks you something.
Maybe like,
Out.
oh, I Portsmouth Sinfonia.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you. Okay, I just want you to agree with me, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Fire Festival would make a great opera.
Oh, without question.
Thank you for agreeing with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I really hate the way that new music just sort of swallows up every current event with like, this should be an opera. Like someone is probably working on the like January 6th Capitol Siege opera right now.
I bet you're right.
But Fire Festival, definitely. I mean, the Greek chorus writes itself.
Yeah. So appreciate you taking the time to blab.
Yeah, my pleasure. I was explaining to my partner right before this call why I was doing this, and I was just like, well, they're one of the first concert presenters to be like really nice to me and continue to be really nice to me, and I really like all of them. So like, yes, I will obviously do a 25-minute long Zoom call for them. You can put it in the pamphlet.
Well, have a delightful evening, and it was so fun to talk. I could talk. I could ask you more, not inane questions, but perhaps
whimsical questions.
Whimsical questions. Yes.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.